Be honest for a second. When was the last time someone treated your time like it mattered? You answer fast, agree to last-minute plans, and keep rearranging your life so no one is disappointed. Yet you're still the backup option, easy to replace. From a Stoic view, this isn't a problem of love. It's a problem of standards and boundaries. In the next few minutes, you'll learn 5 Stoic rules that make your boundaries feel expensive, including one sentence that ends, "being on sale," without guilt or over-explaining. You know this pattern too well. You say yes to plans you don't even want, just so you don't look difficult or unkind. They cancel last minute, and you still reply, "No worries," like your time meant nothing. You call it being easygoing, but really, you're terrified of being the one who finally says no. You answer messages instantly, even when they leave you on read for hours or days. You over-explain, overshare, and keep the conversation alive, while they respond only when it's convenient. A part of you hopes that if you're always available, you'll finally be the one they choose first. You show up for people who only remember you when they are bored, lonely, or need a favor. As soon as their loneliness disappears, so do you, and you're left with that heavy feeling in your chest, quietly wondering, why does no one ever treat me like a priority? At night, your mind replays all the moments where you should have said no and didn't. You think of the messages you wish you'd never sent, the plans you agreed to when all you wanted was rest. You feel this slow, burning anger building inside you, but it's not just at them. It's at yourself for betraying your own limits again and again. How long are you going to keep training people to treat your time, your energy, and your heart like they're always on sale? The Stoics would say this isn't really a problem of love or attraction. It's a problem of standards. From a Stoic view, the real damage isn't that they don't value you. It's that you keep discounting yourself to stay close to them. You're not broken. You were trained to believe that giving more makes you worth more. But overgiving isn't kindness. It's surplus effort that quietly teaches people. Your time, your energy, and your presence are cheap. Marcus Aurelius wrote that a person's worth is measured by what they choose to value. When you treat your own time like it's disposable, you show the world exactly how to treat you. You can't control who desires you or respects you. You can only control what you tolerate, and how much of yourself you hand over just to feel chosen. That's where boundaries come in. They're not games or punishment. They are the outer walls of your inner citadel, the fortress of your self-respect that no one enters without meeting your standards. Here's the mantra that changes everything. My standards first, their feelings second. From this lens, every boundary you set is not rejection. It's you finally standing guard at the gates of your own life. Rule 1. Say no when you need to. My standards first, their feelings second. Sounds strong in theory, but in real life it starts with one uncomfortable habit, saying no when you need to. Every time you say yes, while your whole body is screaming no, you trade your self-respect for a few seconds of peace. You avoid awkwardness in front of them, but you create a quiet war inside yourself. You're not weak for doing this. You were trained to believe that a good person never disappoints anyone. Imagine a friend who always asks for last-minute favors. You're exhausted, you had plans to rest, but you still say, "Sure, I'll do it." And then you resent them and yourself the entire time. From a Stoic lens, a boundary isn't loud. It's calm and clean. I won't be able to help this time. No extra story, no softening, no jade, no justifying, arguing, defending, or explaining. The more you explain, the more you invite negotiation. The simpler the no, the stronger the boundary. And here's the brutal truth. If one honest no is enough to make someone pull away, they were never staying for your standards. They were staying for your obedience. Rule 2. Make your time expensive. When your no finally becomes real, something else happens quietly in the background. Your time stops being cheap. People don't value what is always on standby. They value what they have to earn. When you reply instantly, say yes to last-minute plans, and rearrange your schedule so they never feel discomfort, you're teaching them a simple lesson. Your time bends, theirs doesn't. They cancel on you without thinking, because you've always made it easy to do that. You smooth it over, you say it's okay, and your calendar pays the price. You're not doing this because you're foolish. You're doing it because you're afraid that if you ever stop being available, you'll stop being chosen. From a Stoic lens, your time is a non-renewable resource. Once it's spent, it's gone. Not everyone deserves to spend it. In practice, making your time expensive looks like this. If you already have plans, you keep them. If you're resting, you don't trade your recovery for someone else's boredom. You say, "Tonight doesn't work for me," or "I'm not free this week, let's talk later." No panic, no rushing to prove you're still there. You let people feel that you have a life that doesn't pause every time they click your name. Here's the spike. You are not a vending machine for attention and favors. You are a person with a finite number of hours left on this planet. When your time becomes expensive, your presence becomes magnetic. People start to notice when you're not there, and that's when they finally realize you were never a backup option. Rule 3. Stop chasing their approval. You can't make your time expensive while your self-worth is still cheap. The moment you start guarding your hours, you'll notice another leak. You're still giving your worth to other people to decide. The more you chase someone's approval, the faster your self-respect runs from you. You bend your opinions, soften your truth, and laugh at things that aren't even funny, just to keep them comfortable, just to keep your spot in their life. You're not doing this because you're shallow. You were trained to believe that being chosen by others is proof that you're enough. But look at the cost. They don't fall in love with who you are. They get addicted to a version of you that is soft, convenient, and easy to control. The Stoics would call this a kind of slavery. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." You can't be the master of yourself. If your mood rises and falls with who texts you back, who views your story, or who approves your choices, from a Stoic lens, your job is not to be liked. Your job is to live in line with your standards and let the right people adjust to that. In practice, this rule looks like this. You make decisions based on your values, not on how scared you are of losing someone. You hold your boundaries, even when they call you cold, selfish, or say, "You've changed." Here's the mantra. I don't chase. I attract what matches my standards. When you stop begging to be chosen, you become the person others feel lucky to keep. If this hits a nerve, and you're tired of living on other people's approval, subscribe. We're building a place for calm people who are done being used and ready to be respected. Rule 4. Every boundary needs a consequence. Once you stop chasing people's approval, you have to accept one more truth. Some people will only understand your boundaries when they feel the cost of crossing them. A boundary without a consequence is just a wish. You can say, "Don't talk to me like that," but if they keep doing it and you stay, you've just taught them that your words are decoration, not direction. People don't learn from what you say you want. They learn from what you still allow. If you've struggled to enforce consequences, it's not because you're weak, it's because you're afraid that if you actually follow through, you'll lose them. But here's the harsh reality. If the only way to keep someone is to let them keep violating your boundaries, you're not in a relationship. You're in a quiet form of self-betrayal. From a Stoic lens, consequences are not revenge, they're alignment. They bring your actions in line with your standards. In practice, this can be simple and calm. If someone constantly cancels on you last minute, you stop rearranging your schedule for them. If someone speaks to you with disrespect, you end the conversation and leave. You don't scream. You don't beg. You don't send essays explaining your pain. You simply change their level of access. The message becomes clear. Talk to me respectfully, or you don't get to talk to me at all. That is quiet power. That is self-respect in motion. Here's the spike. When people know they can lose access to you, they stop treating your presence like a guarantee and start treating it like a privilege. Rule 5. Guard your energy, not your image. When you start enforcing consequences, something strange will happen. Some people will stop liking the new you, not because you're cruel, but because you stopped being easy to use. Most people spend their whole lives protecting their image, not their energy. They want to look kind, generous, always available, even if it's killing them inside. So they overshare, over-explain, overgive, and overstay. They turn their soul into a public hallway, and then wonder why everyone walks through with dirty shoes. If that's you, you're not pathetic. You were trained to believe that being a good person means never letting anyone be disappointed in you. Stoicism flips that completely. Your job is not to look good in everyone's story. Your job is to stay grounded in your own, to protect your inner citadel, even if some people don't understand your walls. Guarding your energy looks like this. You don't tell everyone everything. You stop defending every boundary. As if you're on trial for a crime, you let your actions, not your explanations, prove who you are over time. You become quieter, more selective, less eager to fill every silence or clean up every misunderstanding about you. Some people will say, "You've changed." What they really mean is, "You stopped letting me drain you for free." Here's the truth. Their opinion of you is not worth more than your peace. Not everyone deserves front row access to your mind, your heart, or your time. Only the people who respect your boundaries get to see what's behind the walls. That protected energy, combined with self-respect, is what makes you quietly, deeply desirable, without performing for anyone. Let's make this real. Within the next 24 hours, choose one small situation where you normally betray yourself. A favor you don't want to do. A call you don't want to answer. A message you don't want to reply to instantly. And practice one clean sentence. "I won't be able to do that." Or, "I'm not available this time." No apology. No long story. Just one calm no that puts your standards before their feelings. Then, for the next 7 days, use this simple rule before you say yes to anything. Am I doing this from self-respect or from fear of losing them? If it's fear, you pause. You let the message sit. You keep your plans instead of rearranging them. You are training yourself to make your time expensive instead of always on clearance. Pick one person in your life who regularly pushes past your boundaries. The next time they cross the line, don't explain. Don't argue. Change their access. "I'm not okay with that, so I'm going to step back for a while." That is a consequence, not a tantrum. And once a day for a week, practice guarding your energy instead of your image. Let someone be slightly disappointed in you without rushing to fix it. Let a misunderstanding breathe without sending a long essay to clear your name. You're not here to protect everyone's opinion. You're here to protect your inner citadel. Every time you say a clean no, every time you keep your time expensive, every time you stop chasing and enforce a quiet consequence, you are telling yourself a new story. I respect my own boundaries now. This isn't just about boundaries, it's about who you are deciding to become. You're moving from the person who is always available, always explaining, always chasing, to the person who would rather lose people than lose their self-respect. From the one who says yes while dying inside, to the one who can say a clean no without guilt and without a speech. From the one whose time is always on sale, to the one whose time is expensive, protected, and never rearranged for disrespect. From the one who twists themselves to win approval and keep the peace, to the one who lets their standards decide who gets to stay close. From the one who warns and pleads when a boundary is crossed, to the one who calmly changes access and lets consequences do the talking. From being the furniture in other people's lives, always there, always useful, barely noticed, to being someone whose presence is felt when you enter, and missed when you're gone. This is what Stoic self-respect looks like. Self-respect, discipline, quiet power. Not loud revenge, not petty games, just a firm, quiet decision to guard your inner citadel more than you guard your image. Next time you feel the urge to overgive, over-explain, or chase, ask yourself, am I doing this from self-respect or from fear of being abandoned? That one question can save you from a lifetime of discounts to people who never plan to pay full price for your presence. Picture the next time someone texts you last minute, expects you to drop everything, or talks to you like you're easy to replace. The old you would reply instantly, over-explain, and bend your whole life just to keep them comfortable. The new you pauses, says a clean no, keeps your plans, and quietly changes their level of access when respect is missing. You don't raise your voice. You don't beg to be understood. You let your standards speak for you. Here's the punchline. You don't become more desirable by giving more of yourself away. You become more desirable the moment you refuse to abandon yourself for anyone. On Stoic Ether, we train self-respect, discipline, and quiet power. If this helped you remember your worth, subscribe and stay close. Drop a comment and write, I set boundaries because I know my value. And if you know someone who is quietly draining themselves just to feel wanted, share this video with them. It might be the boundary they needed to finally choose themselves.